Welcome, welcome, welcome. You are officially inside the bubble chat, and I am your host, Jawan Johnson. It is a beautiful day to be alive, and an even better day to be right here with all of you. I hope you're feeling good. I hope you're feeling energized, and if you aren't, don't even worry about it. By the time we're done today, we're going to have you exactly where you need to be.
Now, you know how we do it here. The bubble isn't just a name, it's our sanctuary. In a world that is constantly trying to sell you something or tell you who to be, this is the one place where we keep the doors locked and the drama and the windows open to the truth. We are here to talk culture, we're here to talk about life, and most importantly, we're here to have a little bit of fun while we do it. So if you're looking for the real behind the real, you come to the right place.
I've got to tell you, Adonis, my phone's been blowing up all morning about some certain stories, and I just couldn't wait to get behind this mic and give you my 2 cents, maybe 5 cents. It's one of those stories that makes you do a double take, right? We're going to be dissecting the whole situation in just a few minutes because honestly, someone has to say what we're all thinking. I've been sitting on this take all day, and trust me, the tea is definitely piping hot this afternoon or
Ah,
morning.
but we ain't stopping there. We've got a massive show lined up for you today. So coming up later, we're hitting you with our usual hot topics and where we talk about the best and the worst of the week. It is a packed house, it is a packed schedule, so make sure you are locked in and you don't want to move a muscle. Turn up the value, lean into the conversation, and let's get to work. You are listening to the Bubble Chat, and you are officially in the building. Well, all right. We have to get into this because social media has literally been in flames right now. Child, if you thought about the infamous KFC altercation between Keely and Aturi back in the day was wild, you haven't seen anything. The Sun just dropped a bombshell report late Friday about an alleged physical altercation between One Direction alumni Zayn Malik and
Louis,
Tomlinson. Louis
Louis
Tomlinson.
Tomlinson.
Louis Tomlinson, and the details are heavy. Apparently, this all went down while filming a new Netflix reality show, which was actually supposed to be about the two of them bonding on a road trip. But instead of bonding, sources say things turned toxic when Zayn allegedly made, excuse me, a crack about Lewis' late mother, who we know now passed from cancer in 2016. That was a line you just don't cross. And then it gets worse. The report says Zayn was wearing rings at the time and allegedly punched Louis in the face, cutting his head open, leaving him with a concussion. Star Magazine actually hinted at a fight last year, but now that the blood and the medical details are coming out, it's a whole different story. As of now, Louis has officially hit the unfollow button, which we all know is the modern day equivalent of a restraining order. TMZ has reached out to both teams, but so far it's radio silence. In a world of high stakes celebrity reunions, is there any coming back from a physical altercation that involves family? Or is the One Direction brotherhood occasionally officially dead and buried after this?
Look, looking at this from where I'm sitting, I really don't see this friendship being fixed anytime soon, if ever, because it's just such a mess. I actually remember seeing a little teaser for a project they had in the works. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but word on the street is it's already been scrapped because of this, and it hurts to see, right? Because if you go back to the beginning, back to the X Factor when One Direction was first formed by I think Nicole Scherzinger. These two
Mm-hmm.
were the best of friends. They were like the duo. They were like a five piece along with Niall, the late Liam Payne, and Harry. But if you look at this through the lens of me being a pop culture ethicist, there is a pattern with these groups. They get formed, they have these massive global hits, but the pressure cooker almost always leads to these moments of high key toxicity. It's kind of like the 3LW situation with Adrian Keeley and Aturi. Um, they had they had the hits, they had the fame, and then it all imploded over with that infamous KFC fight because Keeley felt backstabbed, from what I know, over some radio show drama. Now, I wasn't in that Chick-fil-A or I wasn't really in that KFC to know exactly what sparked it, but the result was the same as a total fracture. And going back to Zayn and Louis, look, these are still alleged reports, but if Zayn really made a joke about Louis' late mother, I don't blame him for being offended for a single second because Louis lost his mom at a young age, somebody nobody should ever have to go through, and there is absolutely nothing funny or quippy about it. If I were in that position too, I'd be beyond pissed off too. Because that said, as a grown man, I also have to say that violence is never the answer. This could have and should have been a mature, even if heated, conversation rather than a physical altercation and that ends in concussions and hospital visits. It just takes into the dark place you can't come back from. And if there ever is a reunion, which let's be real, doesn't look like it's happening anytime soon, it's probably just going to be Niall, Harry, and Louis. We obviously lost Liam back in 2024, and I'm sure that they'd find a beautiful way to honor his legacy. Because it feels like this Five Direction dream is officially over to avoid drama. They would likely move forward as a trio because it's exactly what I mentioned in the past episode about the Pussycat Dolls now being a trio. Because sometimes you just have to trim the toxicity to keep the legacy alive. It's sad, but at this point, it feels necessary.
This is one of those questions where you might want to ask the brothers of Michael Jackson what happened. This is the time where you might want to ask the question, like they talked about of Keely and Atari. You know, groups, male groups, music groups, guy groups, girl groups. I'm happy this isn't one of the situations where someone is trying to go solo and, all this and all that. Even Nicole, say her last name, Zeginger.
Nicole Scherzinger.
Yeah, right. It's like even with the Pussycats, I'm so happy that they're going back on tour. And it isn't like she was, trying to promote her own thing. She did do her own thing, but when it comes time to as far as them being a group, she's there, they're on tour. That's a great thing. Same as, say the same thing for Destiny's Child, New Edition. Like what is New Edition without Bobby Brown? But I'm so happy that not to say that I support or in favor of them falling out and having a physical altercation. I'm just happy that it wasn't that they were fighting over someone trying to take lead or the
Mm.
spotlight, right? So and in all groups, excuse me, and I'm trying to go down the line where there has been like a physical altercation. The girls from Escape, they had a fight, so it's not like um doesn't matter what led up to the fight, like the chicken situation with 3LW or whatever the situation was with Escape when they fought. Group members, brother, sister, family units, dynamics, they fight. So sorry they had to fight. Hopefully they can make up and make that money. Really, that's
That's
all.
because at this point, all we can really do is hope.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to be real with you. There has been so much heavy news over the past few days, including what recently just happened in Louisiana recently. And while we're usually here to brighten up your day, sometimes we have to bring these heavier stories to bring to the table to bring awareness and to be as helpful as we can. As much as we want to talk about every heavy topic at once, our goal is to keep you guys entertained. So we're just going to take it one heavy topic and one episode at a time and wait for more updates. Recently, a lawsuit filed after the death of Texas teenager is raising some serious questions about what's actually inside these colorful cans called Alani and the potential health risk, especially for young people. For some context here, 17-year-old Larissa Nicole Rodriguez, a high school cheerleader, sadly passed away last October. The medical examiner determined the cause of death was in a large heart linked to stress and excessive caffeine consumption. Her family claims she frequently drank energy drinks, Alani, and argues that the warning labels aren't even close to being clear enough about the risk. And health experts are jumping in, saying caffeine is only part of the problem. Many of these drinks are packed with ingredients like taurine, ginseng, I hope I said that right, and
Mm-hmm.
ginkgo. Oh, I do apologize if I butchered that, which can actually amplify the effect of your heart. The maker of Alani, which is one of the brands mentioned in the lawsuit, isn't named as a defendant, but they did release a statement saying they take product safety seriously. Meanwhile, the distribution company that is named in this lawsuit hasn't publicly responded yet. It's terrifying. It's a terrifying situation for any parent or young athlete with energy drinks being marketed as lifestyle and wellness accessories in such bright candy-like packaging. Do you think, Adonis, the industry needs stricter regulations on how they target minors, or is it up to the consumers to redefine print?
That is a 50-50 way street. It goes both ways. Um, it's just kind of embarrassing that we need energy drinks. There's such things as like ginger and natural things that give us energy. Um, it's a 50-50 responsibility. You need to read the label. They need to be honest and very
Mm-hmm.
transparent in what the label says.
Right.
Um, I know it wasn't mentioned in the story, but this is where FDA has to take real accountability and be very, very transparent. You know, they target these drinks at us, thinking that it's going to give us some type of, and it is like it's unnatural, but not a superpower. You know, with it's like excuse me, I'm sorry. A energy drink is equivalent to sugar, I'm sorry to say, but could be equivalent to the use of cocaine. The thing is you're going to crash.
Mm-hmm.
This is not natural. You have to pay attention to what you're putting in your body. And I'm so sad that the young lady, in her mind, I'm sure she's thinking this is going to give me my last little stretch, my last little pull, my last little extra, whatever it needed to be to do something. And now she's not even with us anymore. That's
Yeah,
sorry.
my
I'm
heart
sorry.
just my heart just breaks for Larissa's family. Losing a child, especially one who was clearly such a light in her community, is a nightmare no one should ever have to face. But
Mhm.
as I was reading into this case, I have to be real with you, Adonis. Something about it just didn't really sit right with me. The family
Right.
is arguing that the warning labels weren't clear enough. Because right now, the O's cans usually say not recommended for children, people sensitive to caffeine, pregnant women, or women who are nursing. The family
Mhm.
feels like more should have been added to really drive the point home. But here's the thing. We've had doctors, medical experts, the FDA, and health professionals surrounding the alarm on energy drinks for years. I
Mhm.
did some digging and I found reports claiming that Larissa was allegedly drinking six, maybe more Alani cans per day.
Yeah,
Also,
now that's not good.
right. And I really can't help but look at the pressure she was probably under because she was a high school from the research I did, she was a high school senior, a cheerleader, a tennis player, and a student council president, all while trying to keep her GPA up to graduate and get into a good college if she chooses to go.
All she needed
That is
probably
a
was a
lot
nap.
for a 17-year-old to juggle really quick. Sorry, Adonis. I feel like she I feel like she was likely using Alani just to keep her above water with all those responsibilities. It really makes me wonder, did the adults in her life or the school staff overlook how this was affecting her mental health? And does her school even have the proper resources to help students manage that kind of stress? Now, let me pause and be very clear on something. I'm not a therapist, I'm not a lawyer, and I'm definitely not a doctor. I never knew Larissa or her family. I'm not saying that anything I'm discussing here is 100% is 100% fact or
Hmm.
that I'm right. It's not my business how the family chooses to seek justice. We're not putting the blame on Larissa, her family, or the school because we don't know all the facts. We only know what's been reported, and that is that she tragically passed away from an enlarged heart linked to excessive caffeine. That's it. But she might not have fully grasped that she was pushing her body to a breaking point because from what I know, she passed away at 17, and that's still a teenager. I truly believe that this is a situation where she could have, would have, and should have been educated on how to succeed without a chemical crutch. There are so many wins to get there are so many ways to win and to succeed in school, such as getting proper rest, eating a real breakfast, and actually listening to your body when it says enough.
Mm.
So I hope this story serves as a wake-up call for our listeners, specifically for parents everywhere, to do your own research. Don't rely on a $1 billion company to give you the full truth on a label. Have those conversations with your kids about mental health and burnout. Make sure they understand that an energy drink is not the answer to everything, no matter how pretty the packaging looks. Success shouldn't cost you your life.
That's right. And all the baby probably needed was a nap and a meal. We're gonna be all right though. She's gonna be all right. Prayers up to the family and everyone involved that is in sports activities and stuff like that. Please take care of yourself. All right, well, let's go ahead and shift gears into something that's been taking over the feeds today. And honestly, it's the kind of content we wish we saw more at school. The video has gone viral featuring a Black man teaching a group of boys a master class in consent and body language. And let me tell you, the way he breaks it down is something a lot of adults still need to hear. And excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm gonna start all over. All right, we're shifting gears to something that's been taking over the feeds today. And honestly, it's the kind of content we wish we saw more out of a school. A video has gone viral featuring a Black man teaching a group of young boys a master class in consent and body language. And let me tell you, the way he breaks it down is something a lot of grown folks still need to hear. In the clip, he's demonstrating a scenario with a woman who looks like she might be a teacher, and he asks her for a hug. She initially says no, but he keeps pushing, assuring her, come on, it's just a hug. Eventually, she gives in and says, okay. But the whole time, her body language is screaming that she is uncomfortable. She is pulling back. Her shoulders are tense. She is clearly not into it. Now, the point he is making to these young men is powerful. Just because someone actually says it's okay or maybe, or even if they stop saying no because they feel pressure, that is not it is not an explicit yes. He's teaching them that yes has to be authentic and has to match the body language. Otherwise, you're crossing boundaries. It's such a simple lesson, but seeing him sit these boys down and explain that a forced okay is still a no, but it's still incredibly important work. We talk a lot about the talk in our community, but this is a different kind of the talk that is just as vital for raising the next generation of men. We often teach kids that no means no, but do you think we do enough to teach them to read the silent signals like body language and hesitation that happen before that happens before a single word is even spoken?
I am so incredibly glad that man took the time to break it down like that for those kids. Because if I'm being honest, I have always believed that just teaching kids no means no is nowhere near enough. Just like how we've realized that stranger danger was a bit too simple for the crazy world we actually live in, and instead the use of tricky people. Because content is nuanced, and I love that we're finally seeing educators and mentors go into the actual details of it. Because back when I was in elementary school, it was all very black and white. You were taught to listen to that for that one specific word, and that word is no. But what about the I don't know? What about the maybe next time or the I guess so? While someone is literally shrinking away from you. Because that was the missing piece of the puzzle when I was growing up. We weren't taught to look at the person, we were taught to wait for the sound. But that demonstration proved that just because someone didn't explicitly say the word no, it doesn't mean they gave you a green light. If the body language is tense, if they're hesitating, if they're only saying okay because you've asked 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times, that is not a yes. So I'm just happy to see this generation being raised with a higher level of emotional intelligence because teaching them to respect the silent no is how we actually build a culture of respect. It's about more than just following a rule. It's about actually seeing and honoring the person standing right in front of you.
That's right. Um, the thing is, and it goes back to the basics. It's about peer pressure.
Mm-hmm.
It's and peer pressure is something that is not individually desired or wanted. It is your peer pressuring you to do something. So I think we need to start there before someone can give you an uncomfortable answer. There's probably an uncomfortable question or action that led up to it. And I think that we need to be consciously aware when we not per se offend, but if we are applying unnecessary pressure on someone, whether it be I peer pressured you into riding with me in a car when we don't have any license, or I'm peer pressuring you to play a flirty game and or a simple hug. Some people, and I've said this, some people are consciously unconscious. They're not really aware of the energy, the words, or their actions sometimes. And then that leaves another person in a position of some form of peer pressure. So I would like us to kind of remember that how we have to respect each other's spaces. And even before then, like we really need to be mentally aware of our action and or words so everything can be okay or everyone can feel comfortable. And in that, without that unnecessary pressure, then maybe we can have a real open, honest dialogue, as in what we approve of, what we're comfortable with, and or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. The moral soapbox today, baby. You're up next, nephew.
Yeah. Hold up. I'll, I'll let this round. Um. Actually, you're. Actually, I think. Hold up. Oh yeah, I am next. Next. Hold up. Let me just. I am unprepared. It's been a long day.
It's okay. It's
Let me.
Friday.
Let me just find. Let me just find the script. Let me just find. You know, I'll just read it right here. Okay, we have some in. Okay, so we have some incredibly serious news coming out of Australia that has the industry completely stunned. Um, Australian police have officially confirmed they've launched an investigation following some heavy allegations made by the actress and model Ruby Rose. Ruby's accusing pop star Katy Perry of allegedly sexually assaulting her in Melbourne, Australia, in Melbourne nightclub 16 years ago. Claims that Katy Perry has already denied. Detectives from the Melbourne Sexual Offences and Child Abuse Investigation Team told ABC News that they are looking into a historical sexual assault from 2010. This all started on Sunday when Ruby responded to a social media post about Katie attending Coachella, saying that she was in her early 20s when the alleged incident happened. By Monday, Ruby took the threads to say she was literally walking into the police station to see if this could be investigated, even though it's been well over a decade and might be pushing the statute of limitations. It is a massive developing story that is putting a huge spotlight on the industry's past. When we see these historic allegations come to light on social media before they hit the legal system, how does it change the way the public perceives the accountability processes of A-list celebrities?
This sounds like a money grab. Simple as that. It sounds like a money grab. I don't know what else to say. That just sounds like a money grab. It is too easy these days. I can take a picture. We can take a group picture right now. And nephew, if you was to put your hands on the small of my back, to forward, to frontward, or a sidely position on my hip, boy, you have sexually harassed me. Did you not know that? If
Mm.
you lean too close and I feel your breath upon my neck and ear area, you didn't know that you sexually assaulted me. It's just now, I'm not discrediting or taking away her credibility for what she's claiming, but in these days, and it started back, a prime example with Michael Jackson.
P. Diddy, R. Kelly,
Well, no,
Bill Cosby.
I'm only gonna stick with Mikey
Oh,
Mike. I'm only
okay.
gonna stick with the
Okay.
MJ. What I'm saying is somewhere in the line and all that muckery, he paid someone to not let something happen. He was trying to, excuse me, preserve image moving forward business wise. And then all that did was opened up a floodgate of people and children and a whole bunch of other folks saying, claiming the same thing. It's not the same thing, but it is. Is this a money grab? Was this real? You haven't been traumatized, going through any kind of treatment, rehabilitation from what happened then? And now you want to run to the police now, crossing your fingers, hoping that the time period is it just seems like a money grab. It just seems like a money grab, and um, not to defend Katy Perry, but we've never even heard anything crazy about Katy Perry, period, in her whole entire career.
Yeah, I want to weigh on this a little bit, not to tell you who's right or who's wrong, because I
Mhm.
don't think that's my place. But I want to speak to this as a celebrity news ethicist. I can only speak from my own perspective. So whenever we see allegations this heavy, whether it's sexual assault, a betrayal of trust, or a literal physical fight, the internet immediately splits into two camps. You have the side that believes the victim immediately, and the side that defends the accused. We live by the saying, innocent until proven guilty in the legal world. But in the world of public opinion, that's rarely how it plays out. Because I feel like we've reached a point to where people start to dig their heels in for one person or the other person before any detailed evidence has ever been presented. As an emphasis, I believe that's where things get dangerous because we're dealing with real lives and real trauma here, regardless of which side the truth falls on. Because my stance is that we have to hold space for the fact that we simply don't have all the facts yet. Because it's easy to get swept up in these headlines and the social media comments. But until we see evidence and until the legal process runs its course where we know for sure happened, we have to be careful about how we assign guilt or innocence. It's about being responsible with the power we have as a community to discuss these things without jumping to conclusions that could permanently damage someone's life or very silence the survivor's voice. We have to be better at waiting for the truth.
Very much so. Very much so. I agree with you, nephew.
Yeah. Now you're next.
I know.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, we have to talk about the munch heard around the world. Old Spice is Ice Spice, I'm sorry, is currently trending, but it's not for a new single. It's literally for a SmackDown. TMZ obtained security footage from early Wednesday morning showing Ice Spice getting to a physical altercation with a fan at Mickey D. It looks pretty intense. She really went in like she was handling business right there by the counter. But the wildest part isn't the fight, it's how she responded to it. She hopped on X late Friday night and basically laughed the whole thing off. She, quote, tweeted the footage with a simple, "This wouldn't happen at Wendy's." She is clearly not sweating the legal side of it yet and is already pivoting the drama into a fast food war joke. TMZ reached out to a formal TMZ reached out for a formal statement, but so far the Wendy's tweet is all we're getting. And at this point, does celebrities' unbothered energy on social media stop being iconic or start becoming a liability when there's actual footage of a physical altercation involved? What do you think, nephew? Did you see it?
I've seen some bits and pieces on it, but and then seeing her, I have to say, but seeing a little bit of this footage and then seeing her immediately pivot into a Wendy's joke, it's like a perfect case study of how we revisit fast food culture today. Because there is something about the atmosphere of a late night McDonald's and Wendy's or Burger King that just seems to invite this kind of viral chaos. And look, we can't talk about those fast food fights without mentioning the heavyweight champion of the genre, and I'm talking about Waffle House.
Mm-mm.
We've seen all the fucking videos. It's almost like a rite of passage for these locations to have at least one viral SmackDown caught on grainy cell phone cameras. It's a mess, but it's a mess that the internet devours every single time. What's really interesting here is how Ice Spice used these fast food wars, that internal rivalry between these brands to deflect from the actual violence of the situation. By saying this wouldn't happen at Wendy's, she's tapping into the brand that loyalty we all have. We've seen these companies go on X for years, usually over who has the better nuggets or the freshest beat. But now the war is about which lobby is safer for a celebrity to grab a burger at 3 o'clock in the morning. Because at the end of the day, it's just another example of how these public spaces have become the stage for our most viral and often most topic pop culture moments. Whether it's a fan overstepping or a celebrity losing their cool, the backup is almost always a neon sign, and the drive-through menu. It's a wild time to be a public figure, and apparently it's even wilder time to be a shift manager at McDonald's in Hollywood.
Well, I agree with Ice Spice. Of all the trending restaurant sites, it never happened at Wendy's. It never happened at Wendy's. Now, speaking of another music artist trending, fighting, and defending themselves at a damn fast food restaurant. Mary J. Blige out here got to relive that horrible Burger King chicken crispy sandwich wrap situation she had years ago, embarrassed her down to today that she still ain't got over. The video including or involving Ice Spice. This is what it is. Initially, when I saw it, I saw all the girl or the young lady was looking for a viral moment, but um, I saw her own live that she went on Twitter and she said that, of course it's late, it's McDonald's. Her friend said there's Ice Spice. She's like, oh my God, let me go over there and speak. She said Ice Spice was very, very dismissive. Guards probably up, and granted, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, girl, why you on my face? Um, no security, all those things. She probably thought, she was being inconspicuous, being in such late time, early time in the morning. Like, who's really, really checking for me, if anything? So, like I said, communication, respect, and all these things is a two-way street. You have a fan or onlooker trying to come up. If you're being dismissive or being offensive and not necessarily honest, and I don't want to say demure, but you want to be a little bit discreet. You want to be a little bit more respectful. We live in a world of Zeus, and now that's TV. Bitch, say something. You want that smoke, you gonna catch, you gonna get it, and I want that step to the front. So,
Period.
it's all these, yeah, for real. So it's all these things that you have to take into consideration. But at the end of the day, I think that if there was a minor attitude adjustment, that this would not have happened. I think this probably could have ended in a real, real cute group picture that could have went viral in a positive light versus it not happening at Wendy if it was gonna happen, because I ain't ever seen nothing that happened at Wendy's. I agree with Ice Spice. And we are just getting started here, but we're going to take a quick break, a quick breather, pay some bills, and let everyone grab a refill or whatever they are drinking. Please do not go anywhere, though. Seriously, we. All right. We're just getting started here, but we are going to take a quick breather to pay some bills and let everyone grab a refill of whatever they're drinking on. Do not go anywhere though, seriously. You're going to want to be back in your seat for what is coming up next. We're keeping the energy moving and diving straight into the conversation in just a couple of minutes. You are listening to the Bubble Chat, and we'll be right back.
And we are back. If you're just joining us, welcome to the circle. You're hanging out with us on the Bubble Chat. And I hope you enjoyed that quick little briefer. We've already covered a lot of ground today, but we are nowhere near finished. It's time to switch gears to get into one of my favorite parts of the show. It's a segment we call Throwback Topic. This is where we reach into the vault and pull out those stories, scandals, or cultural moments that happened before I had this platform, the stuff I stayed up all night thinking about back in the day, wishing I had a mic in front of me to break it all down. For most of these at the time, I was too young to know what a podcast even is. Anyways, but you know these moments that still live rent free in your head years later. The ones where you still have questions, still have theories, and still have whole lot of opinions. That's exactly what we're diving into right now. So let's take a trip down memory lane. Here is today's throwback topic.
Okay, for today's throwback, we're heading back to 2020, right when the Saved by the Bell reboot first hit Peacock. It was supposed to be this nostalgic, fun moment, but it quickly turned into a massive controversy. The show ended up facing some serious backlash for a couple of scenes that nationally made light of Selena Gomez's 2017 kidney transplant. And the sixth episode titled Teen Line, the writers had two characters literally debating who the donor was like. Excuse me. The the writers had two characters literally debating who the donor was who the donor was like it was some kind of playground gossip. One character claimed that it was just Bieber's mom, while the other one insisted that it was Demi Lovato's kidney because they were best friends. It wasn't just the dialogue either. There was even graffiti on the walls in the background of the school asking, does Selena Gomez even have a kidney? Selena's fans and Selenators did not play about this. They got respect with Selena Gomez trending nationwide, and the pressure got so high that Peacock Universal TV and the production producers had even issued a formal apology to E! News, eventually confirmed that the show's creative team went back in and completely edited those scenes out of the episode. In a world of reboots and edgy teen comedies, where is the line between pop culture reference or total lack of empathy for a person's medical trauma?
I totally get why the backlash was so loud and so immediate. As someone who follows the industry closely, you start to see where edgy writing just becomes plain old insensitive. Because we have to remember, this wasn't just a minor procedure. Selena Gomez was battling lupus, which is a brutal autoimmune condition. And for those who don't know, lupus literally causes your own immune system to attack your organs. And in
Mm-hmm.
Selena's case, it led to severe kidney damage and eventually full on kidney failure. The surgery wasn't a lifestyle choice, it was a life saving necessity. And the part that really gets me, the part where those writers clearly didn't research, is that the procedure itself was terrifying. It was not for the faint of heart. There was a point during the transplant where one of her arteries actually flipped, which caused a massive complication. The surgery ended up being way longer than expected, and it easily could have turned fatal right there on the table. Thankfully, the doctors were able to get under control, but she literally walked in the line between life of death and death. So to take that level of trauma, that kind of near-death experience, and turn into a punchline about Justin Bieber's mom or Demi Lovato, it's just cheap. It's not funny. It's not clever. And it's a perfect example of why writers need to realize that these celebrities are human beings with actual medical histories and not just characters in a fucking tabloid.
I totally agree. I agree. It just makes me think about medical conditions, period, in the industry. So, um, Chadwick Boseman, that we did not know that he had cancer, but he suffered from cancer. And though he was suffering from cancer, he was giving very, very award-winning performances. We have to
Hmm.
give note to those, give them their flowers and respect
Yeah.
their dedication to their craft. It also makes me think of not necessarily they had controversial with their illness or their condition, but T-Boss from TLC, she has sickle cell. And that is another issue where you are fighting and going through things. And we know that the late, great Richard Pryor had MS. You know, um, we are not privy to the hand that we are dealt with in life, but we must play and be very, very strategic in how we play the hand that we are dealt. So in this reference, yes, there needs to be some type of empathy, a great margin or percentage of empathy, because aside from making fun of, poking, and inquiring on these people, we look at them for entertainment.
Hmm.
And if I'm going through a medical situation and I'm here to entertain you, and I'm going to entertain you because you have been thoroughly entertained prior or privy to my medical situation or condition, show a bitch a little bit of respect. Have a little bit of reciprocity for me. Don't do me like that because, as I said, you are here to be entertained. Michael Jackson, he went from the outside color of the almond to the inside of the almond. And it didn't matter what color he was, we wanted him to spin, hump, and flick his sweat on goddamn stage in the spotlight. So we have to really, really give these people some respect, especially when
Right.
it comes to their medical situation, because we look for them for entertainment. There are rappers right now, strokes, heart attacks. Look at Tracy Morgan. He's in a wheelchair, he's still a comedian. Keith the Sneak, still a verbal lyricist, but he is in a wheelchair. And if I tell you, when he rolled out on stage, my heart warmed. Stevie Wonder been blind his whole entire life, and we expect that man to get up there and sing and sound amazing, and we cannot berate him if he ended up wearing some clear prescription glasses versus his shades. Show some respect. Put some respect on her kidney. That's what I say. Well, it's come the jury moment today that we're going to clock the fuck out for tonight. I want to say a huge thank you to you all for sticking around with us and being part of this conversation. It is always a vibe to get behind this mic and share the space with all of you. I truly hope that you are leaving this episode with a little more clarity, or at least a little bit more to think about than when you started. But look, the conversation ain't got to stop here. We just because we hit the stop button doesn't mean the conversation must end. We really want to know what you think. Your perspective is what keeps this bubble growing. So make sure you're hitting us up on the socials, dropping the comments, and sending us messages on maybe what you might want us to talk about. Whether you agree with us, disagree, or have a totally different take on what we've discussed tonight, we want to hear it. This show is as much yours as it is ours. Okay, now we'll be back, same time, same place on the next one. But until then, remember to take care of yourselves, look out for one another, and keep your own peace in the middle of all of this noise. I am your boy, Adonis Concierge. This has been Nephew, and you have been listening to The Bubble Chat. We are out.
Peace out, y'all.